Mm-hmm. I bet. Just a minute. It lives, I see. Do you want to speak with Lolita? I'm sorry, but Gabriel is allowed. Oh, I mean, he's out. Yeah, if he ever comes back, I'll tell him. You know, you could do better. I know I don't know you, but you could do better. Good morning. The phone's been ringing off the hook all morning. Let me know when you want your messages.
Yeah.
Gee, you're lively. Did you have another nightmare last night?
Sort of.
Mm-hmm. I told you it's that voodoo book you're researching. That stuff can seriously screw up your karma.
I'm sure that's it. Maybe I should write a horror novel on passive resistance instead.
So don't sleep. It's your body. Anyway, your handheld tape recorder came today.
Really? Great.
I can't wait to see what human rights you violate with this one.
I can't wait to violate them. For example, if you would just let me...
And I located some local voodoo references for you. Dixieland Drugstore and the Historical Museum of Voodoo. Both are right here in French Quarter.
How would I ever manage without you?
You? Give me a break. The devil himself couldn't change you.
Well, if the devil had great legs, perhaps. Like yours.
And a riveting personality, I'm sure. Well, if you need any more research done, just ask. It's not as though we're swamped with customers.
Don't mind if I do.
Do what?
Oh, nothing.
Gabriel looks at the cash register, checking for cobwebs. Cute gargoyle, eh? It's certainly light enough, but rather useless. Gabriel opens the cash register to examine the take, or in the case of St. George Books, the mistake. It's a gift certificate left over from yet another dismal failure of a promotion.
I trust you can live without this old gift certificate.
Knock yourself out.
The magnifying glass is a handy item for reading old manuscripts or the fine print on Gabriel's lease.
Mind if I borrow the magnifying glass?
No, Sherlock. Just bring it back when we get the next estate shipment.
No problem. I'm going to take the tweezers for a bit.
Good. You're beginning to look a little scruffy.
Just trying to make you feel at home.
Times-Picayune, dated June 18, 1993. The front page has an article about the Voodoo Murders. The article says that the victims are all identified as members of the underworld. The general public of New Orleans is in no danger. Police claim the so-called voodoo trappings found at the crime scenes are fake, a scare tactic, and that the murders are not associated with any genuine practitioners. Gabriel also scans the Aquarius horoscope for the day. Potential storms ahead. Proceed with caution and do not get involved with anything new at this time.
Right. My kidney's already floating, thanks.
Under the window are reference books, dictionaries, foreign language dictionaries, quotation books, and others. Gabriel borrows them often when he's writing. Gabriel leafs through a German-English dictionary.
Let's see, Mittag means midday, noon.
Dramatic, isn't it? Gabriel didn't eat for 3 weeks after splurging on that coat. He has a thing for black leather. Grace's coat is a simple but classy trench coat. Gabriel hates people with good taste. The top shelf contains a set of German books that once belonged to Gabriel's grandfather. That shelf holds used copies of the Dime Stripe series, secrets of unsolved ancient UFO mysteries and such. That shelf holds you. They just leap out the door. Gabriel selects a volume of German poetry that he always found strangely compelling.
Drei Drachen kriechen in meinen Schlaf. Die Ziele wollen sie lebendig zum Fraß. Feurigen Atems, gespaltener Zunge, genießen sie jedes Mal.
That's nice. Kinda creepy, though. Who's the author?
Heinz Ritter. I'm not sure what it says, but I get the feeling the guy was one sick puppy.
That shelf contains historical references, biographies of kings and queens, that sort of thing. The top shelf contains books on animals, including snakes and other reptiles. Gabriel pulls down a book on snakes.
Snakes are legless reptiles. Some snakes kill their prey with poison, some by constriction. A snake smells by tasting the air with its forked tongue. The smells are passed back to a sense organ in the mouth. Constrictor snakes, however, sense their prey by vibration.
Did you know that medieval legends about dragons and giant worms are actually based on snakes? You know, dragons, devils, sea monsters, well, they've always been associated with snakes.
Grace, get alive.
Three snakes in a skull. Gabriel's father painted it.
What a wacky, offbeat kind of guy Daddy was.
Grace keeps her art supplies here.
Got a minute, Grace?
What's up?
What can you tell me about voodoo?
I didn't know much of anything about it until you started researching it for your book. Now I know that it's active in the city. There's that shop and museum. It can clearly be dangerous in the wrong hands. You should be careful investigating it.
What do you know about the Voodoo Murders?
Just what I read in the paper, same as you.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
Well, I've only been here 2 months, but I love it. It's so much more alive than any place I've been. It feels like anything's possible here.
Tell me about yourself, Grace.
Yeah, right, Knight.
I mean it.
What do you want to know?
How do you like working at St. George's Books?
Well, it's not exactly a huge intellectual challenge. Although the math in your record books could confuse Einstein. Still, I love old books, and it's a nice way to pay the bills while I explore the city for a summer. If you ever pay me, that is.
What do you do after work?
Well, I either go to my oil painting class or my Tai Chi. You know that.
You know, you can go overboard with this improving yourself stuff. You don't want to alienate us mere mortals.
I suppose I should just allow my mind and body to atrophy.
Works for me. How old are you?
Old enough to know about men like you.
Just tell me anything at all.
I just got my master's in history and classics. My folks wanted me to go on right away for my PhD, but 18 years of school was enough. I needed a break.
Nothing, I guess. Never mind.
Suit yourself.
Do you have messages for me?
Dana called, and Susie left a message about a lawsuit.
Carson.
Okie dokie. There's more when you want 'em.
Do you have more messages for me?
Your grandmother called.
I keep meaning to get over there. What did she say? Did she sound good?
She sounded great, and we had a nice little chat about you.
Grace.
Don't worry. I didn't go into detail about your cardinal sins. Not that anything about you could surprise her. She adores you anyway.
She's my girl.
But she said to remind you to stop by and go through your father's things.
Okay.
It's Gabriel's bathroom.
I really got to get around to cleaning up in there. I'll take this hair gel. You never know when you'll need a touch-up.
Gabriel's bedroom is also his office, studio, and library. Jeans and t-shirts. A poster on the wall advertises Mardi Gras, the biggest party of the year in New Orleans. It's Gabriel's bed, unmade as usual. Several dozen books, including a few of Gabriel's novels, occupy the shelves above his desk. The typewriter is beginning to accumulate cobwebs.
Should I feel guilty? Nah. I'm out of here. Try not to sell out the store while I'm gone.
Don't hurry back on my account.
Gabriel, I'm so glad you stopped by.
Sorry it's been a while, Grandma.
Not at all. Give us a kiss. Now come and sit down. Tell me how you're doing.
How you been, Gran?
Just fine, dear. I'm sorry I bothered you at work, but I was hoping you'd get a chance to go through your father's things in the attic.
Don't be silly. You can call me anytime. Can we talk, Gran?
Of course, my boy. How can I help?
What can you tell me about voodoo?
Voodoo? What an odd question, Gabriel. Of course, you always were interested in monster movies and all that other weird stuff. You get that from your father and granddad. I don't know anything about it, dear. Of course, it was very big in New Orleans at one time, but you don't hear about it so much these days. Too much else in the world to worry about, I guess.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
New Orleans is very southern. Of course, though, not as much as it used to be when I was a girl. It's gotten much more influenced by the East Coast and that California stuff. Still, it hasn't changed as much as other places, I reckon. We've always been happy here.
Tell me about yourself.
Me? Oh, surely you have something more interesting to talk about.
Oh, come on, Gran.
All right, dear. What do you want to hear?
What do you do all day?
You know how I love to knit and work in my garden? I also take long walks. It's the only way to keep an old body like mine from stiffening up.
You're not old.
Oh, don't be foolish. I'm older than the hills.
Tell me about before you met Granddaddy.
Well, you know I was born Rebecca Wright. My daddy owned a lot of land outside of town. Peas, corn, cotton, all kinds of things. It was a good childhood, but my father was very strict. He didn't much let me out of his sight.
Tell me how you met Granddaddy.
I met Harrison at a church revival. There was a traveling preacher back then, a big fella named Reverend Jim. I even remember his slogan, "Come to me to find your way." Your granddad was sitting right behind me and my girlfriend Alma, and at one point, old Reverend Jim was flinging his hair around with his fire and brimstone annex, and a piece of it, one of those small add-on do's for ma'am, went flying off. I swear, Harrison and I were the only ones that noticed. We both started laughing to beat the band. Everyone looked at us like we were a couple of loonies. It was then I knew that he was for me.
How you feeling these days?
Fit as a fiddle, and don't you worry your head about it.
Just tell me anything at all.
I had your father when I was 22. The doctors told me I couldn't have any more after him, so I'm afraid I spoiled him rotten.
Just tell me anything at all.
I never loved any man but your grandfather, and I never will.
Oh, nothing, never mind.
All right, dear.
Tell me about our family.
Who would you like to hear about? Your granddad, your father, or your mother?
Tell me something about Granddad.
Your granddad immigrated to America when he was 21. He worked his way through school, met and married me, and we had your father, Philip.
Tell me about my father.
Your father was my only child. How we adored him. Philip suffered from terrible nightmares, just like your granddad did. They were 2 peas in a pod.
Tell me about my mother.
Your mother was Margaret Templeton when your father met her. She came from a very wealthy Creole family in New Orleans. She was beautiful and reckless. She was madly in love with your father, of course, but I also think she liked defying her family. Since you're so interested in family history these days, why don't you go by St. Louis Cemetery No. 1 and visit the family tomb? It would be a sweet gesture.
Maybe I will. You know, you get prettier every time I see you.